Okay, this sounds a bit futile today, finding the right MPN specialist for a patient when we have all those MPN specialists in the room today. But the thing is that in Germany, we found that, especially in rural areas, it is sometimes difficult to find an MPN specialist. But before I go into this problem, I just want to briefly introduce the MPN network, because I think we're not normally presenting at this forum. Am I right, Peter? We have normally not been participating with a presentation.
No.
Okay, so this is the premiere of the MPN network. I don't have this little pointer thing, but let's see. Werner was here, but was he still with MPN network? Anyway, you have to go, it's only one slide. So if you've seen it, close your eyes and then I'll continue with the other thing. Okay, so we had our 20th anniversary this year. And then, okay, I'll do this. So we were founded in 2002 as a Yahoo forum. Since 2005, we are actually a registered patient advocacy. We are not pharma subsidized. This is a special thing in Germany because we obviously get funding from the public health system, and that contradicts to take in money from pharma companies. We have currently more than 1,600 members. Some of them are also in Switzerland and some are in Austria. So, but most of them are in Germany. And you see that the number is rising. This is only the number from 2024. And that tells you something. More people are diagnosed, that is good news. But also the number is higher because it is a rare disease, but people live longer with it. We learn to live with the disease. So that is good news, isn't it? And we collaborate very much with GSG, German Study Group MPN. So we have a lot of doctors with which we work, but for the single patient, it is still sometimes difficult to find the right patient. And I think that is something that you probably also experience in your areas. And that is what I would like to discuss. So don't lean back and fall asleep, but let's see how we can improve the situation for all of us. So how do we find a doctor? And I remember doing that myself. What do? You ask the internet, you ask your family doctor, you ask a hematologist if you're already kind of patient at a hematology practice, you ask the MPN network. And you probably get 4 different answers, if not more. But what is the right answer? And is it reliable? So from a patient's point of view, we want an expert, right? I think that is the most important thing. But then we also want close proximity to where the patient lives. We've heard yesterday from Dr. Schatze in Oregon that you have to travel quite some ways to find a specialist. It is okay if you have a once a year checkup, then I travel. But if I have to go there every 4 weeks, it's a bit of a nuisance being on a train, especially in Germany. So that is a factor that you also have to take into consideration. And compliance doesn't improve with the amount of travel that you have to do. Of course, we want that he's empathetic and understanding and has enough time for the patient. That is something that are criteria which are really hard to evaluate. So I'll focus on the first 2. And how do we define that it is a suitable MPN specialist? Well, he has to have obviously a good formal training. He has to be a hematologist or an oncologist. That actually goes together in Germany. He has to see a sufficient number of MPN patients. If you only have one once a year, what do you know? You think that, MPN presents itself in this form only, and we learn that there is so much variety between patients. He has to have sufficient lab facilities. I mean, we know that we measure allele burden and all those kinds of things. That is not something that a doctor somewhere out there would be able to provide, right? He has to interact with other specialists. I think we all heard that pathologists to kind of inspect bone marrow stenches have to be available. Probably, if it doesn't look good for the patient, you also have to have somebody who is a transplant person who can kind of guide you through that, and then in cooperation they can work together. He probably has to participate in phase 3 studies, so he's up to the latest and greatest news of what is happening in the world of pharmacy. And he probably has to be associated with MPN centers, but that is a list that kind of we established in Germany. Maybe you have other criteria. Now, if we define those criteria, how do we identify those, right? So maybe this is not complete, the slide I showed earlier, a complete list of criteria, so we would have to discuss whether other criteria. And then what do? I mean, Germans love administration. We create a certification process, right? But then again, the question is who should certify, and is that the right way of doing it? Is there another way? It sounds like, lots of not very popular work you have to do. Then you run the certification process and you run it, and then 3 years later, you probably have to redo it because things have changed. More people have that ability, or some people have lost the ability. So what do? And then you have to review and adapt the certification criteria. So this is all very boring. And the question is also, should we certify the doctors in Germany, or the associations where doctors gather are not really keen on running even more certifications? So I know you're laughing because you're probably just facing that. So the question is really, how do you do it? And well, the question is, how do you do it? I mean, obviously we know doctors. If you ask me for Spain, for example, I wouldn't know, right? Last week I had somebody who was calling from Dresden, and I said, I don't know anybody in Dresden, and even if I'm asked in Hanover, where I come from, my hometown, there is a big university there, I would know somebody. But that's not a sound criterion, right? You don't want to be sent to somebody I know because you don't probably even know me. So would I fulfill your expectations? So the question is, and I'm asking all of you, speak up please, how do you do it in your countries? John? Dolph. Well, you raised your hand for Dolph, okay? Okay, Dolph.
I love your presentation.
You're welcome.
This is my frustration for the last 8 years, and I've been working on it in Holland for 8 years. And I aim for my goal that every MPN patient knows where to go as an experienced MPN doctor. I tried several things, writing letters to the government, writing letters to hospital. It was impossible because the doctors closed their home. It's impossible to let me say it another way. Calling one doctor a good MPN doctor, if they say that, then they also say the others are no good. And that's not done in Holland. It's actually not in Holland, but I think it's all over the world. After a year of 3-4, I was so frustrated. I created a website, and I call it Choose an Experienced MPN Doctor. And I know there are at least five, which I know that are good. And I put them on a map with a phone number on it. I also run a Facebook group with 900 people, and I distributed this website. And I think it's good to mention the good doctors, and it's not as a patient I can do that, and that's the way I want to try to achieve the distribution of the good doctors in Holland. And at the moment I'm starting to expand the list. And one of the doctors of the 5, she made a phone call to me and she said, please, is it your website? I said, yes. She said, can you put it offline because I'm too busy? And there are more doctors that are experienced. I said, well, give me a list of the doctors and I will put them on. And then it was silence. So
Yeah.
I love this. And
Peter,
yeah,
you want to go next?
we created MPN World, and one of the things I was helping designing the input of MPN World. And if people enter the system, they also have to write down what hospital are you in, treated, and what's the name of your doctor. And that we created that also in MPN Journal. We create this data to have a view what's happening in the countries and what doctors are mentioned and what doctors are not mentioned, and it gives a really good overview. And in Holland we have about 12-13% of the MPN patients in the system, so you can expand it with times 10, and then you have the amount of people treated by an MPN doctor. And it's really, there are doctors that only have 5 or 6 patients. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I
Yours
have
is
one
on?
here. I hope
Okay.
it works.
You have your own.
No, don't get away.
don't
Nice
want
ladies
us to
don't
kind
stay
of-
here. No, don't worry now. It's not. When we talk about Germany, I always said you're living in a Schlaraffenland, which is I don't know how you call that in English. It's one of these countries
It's a
where
fairy tale
you have
world.
everything what you want. Yeah, it's one of these countries you would like to live. You don't know, or you know, but the help that you have with GSG, German Study Group, your system of financing, what you have in Germany, this is taking away 2 of the major problems which you normally have in a PAG. Another exception is UK. They have also a system I can only dream of. For example, in Spain, we have a GSG, but for example, they say a specialist, an MPN doctor does not exist. It's a hematologist specialized in MPN. Yeah, so they accept it. They don't accept if I ask them, "Can you tell me a list of the best MPN physicians?" No way, they will not get it. And they consider us as association. We are now about 2,000 people or something altogether. They consider us as their enemy because we know more. We have studied. You have never studied, so how can you give an opinion about MPN, etc. So it's a little bit the old archaic thinking of a physician. But I admire what you have, and you can do so many things, and you do a lot of things. And this is just thanks because of that beautiful situation what you have. It's something I hope you can keep it up. We are battling to be one day in the situation which you are, but it is normally in most of the countries. I mean, Karin, you can confirm it to me how difficult it is to bring up a new. I mean, we are 6-7 years old now, not more. It's extremely difficult really to build it up and to get all what Dolph said. I want to do that since a long time, but I can't even get a beginning. I have nothing in my fingers, which I can say, okay, with that I can build something. And actually the GSG Spain, which is again Finn, I founded it together with Dr. Besses, which is still my hematologist. I gave him the idea that he should do it, and he did it. But you just don't come to them. There's just no way, to do something. But anyway, I just wanted to congratulate you. You know, it's,
Thank
you're
you.
doing- you're doing a fantastic job. You do so many great things. I mean, I follow it, not everything, but I follow you, and I hope you can keep that situation which you have. Which is really most
We're
favorable.
trying hard. We're trying to get better even. John, you wanted to say something. Are you raising your hand on behalf of Dolph again?
Simon have a question as well. I do mean nothing.
Oh, I found different specialists and
Oh, okay.
MPNs as well.
Yours is not on.
Hi.
I can hardly hear you.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, now.
Perfect. So I just wanted to share what I did. So I was diagnosed 3 years ago in my local hospital in Bath, which is in the west of England. It's a small city. I think the hospital has a kind of patient population of about 500,000 people. And I kind of got my diagnosis out of the blue, and I was like, ooh, okay, got the prognosis. And for me, I wanted to have a second opinion. I wanted to go to a leading expert, kind of meeting the criteria that you listed out earlier, participating in trials and stuff. And I thought, okay, how do I do that? So I actually kind of lent on my private health cover to kind of use their find a consultant search bar, and kind of went into hematologists and just found not Claire Harrison's group, because they weren't on that for obvious reasons. But so I went to the competitors in London, Guy's, and I went to the head of oncology there in hematology, and was able to kind of, fortunately, within a week, get an appointment with him in the private wards. But it was only a couple of £100. It was like the best money I've ever spent though, because what it enabled me was, he was like, okay, yeah, great to meet you, sorry to hear about it, etc. I don't really specialize in that area anymore. However, my colleague Donald does. You should speak to him. And he sent me the connection. Donald was like, oh yeah, I'll see you on the NHS, so the free system, and he's now my kind of UK expert. And what I have is, in my model, I have this hub and spoke approach. So I have a national expert in Donald, kind of providing the strategic direction and oversight of my case, but then I have my local team that are doing more of the kind of, they wouldn't want me to say dispensary, they do the kind of the more take my bloods, see me on every kind of month or quarter now, and dispense the medications as well. And I just really kind of want to kind of say it's really working well for me. I go to London with work anyway, but I usually go and see Donald once a year or so. He puts no pressure, it's just telephone calls. I send him emails with my results. I've been pinging him emails from the slides here. And I'd say, yeah, if you do live in a kind of not a metropolis center of excellence where you are, do feel that you can, and I hope you can, wherever you live, have that kind of second opinion, expert care, strategic advice.
Do you mind if I comment following Simon? Sorry, just because I work on the area. That's quite challenging for us, but I guess we can have a certificate at some point. And I think it's important. The reason I'm saying that is because I am the one seeing patients coming from other hospitals that they don't have a specialist. And it's really difficult from both sides, I'm sorry to say, for the patients 100%, but also for the doctors, because if you're general hematology, you're going to have a clinic with, I don't know, 20, 25 patients, and you have a myeloma, leukemia, MPN, iron deficiency, anemia. So you have to put your brain in different areas. So for me, being on my great center, where I can just do a JAK2 mutation when I want, an MRI when I want, it's really easy position. So I get that part from them. But I have to tell you that unfortunately, as a big center, we sometimes have limitations coming up from the governments and telling us, actually, yes, the patient can be referred to you because you are the expert center, but you have to start cutting down on things. So it's quite a difficult position for us, because I want to have everyone in my clinic, but I'm sometimes not allowed to have it if they have a general hospital that they take care. So it's in the patient's power to say, I want to be referred to this place. And I have patients in the London area that you have to think, I mean, I don't know how many the distance is, but some of my patients travel an hour and they're still in London, and they say, I must stay with you, which is fair enough, you know, but it's really difficult as well for us as a doctors, because we have a limitation on the other side telling us, actually, you can't do it. But I think I do with Simon, patients similar to you, we'll see them once a year or twice a year. we catch up with them and we say, look, the door is open. You have a problem, you have your appointment, call us, we move the appointment. And that's the way we try to do things. But the other point for me is we are also developing education for the team. So I talk with some pharmaceutical companies and we do a speak in MPB or MPN to teach my colleagues so they can manage the patients and the expectations as same when I will do or try to do. Sorry, I think this lady, Joanna.
It's your time already.
No, it's open for discussion.
Who's next? Okay. I'm trying to think how to summarize my whole situation without spending an hour telling you. I'm originally from Costa Rica, but I moved to Vienna, so I got diagnosed there. And I don't know, like my experience was just overwhelming since the beginning. I was in a foreign country without my family, not even speaking the language. So it was just like super odd for me to understand what was going on. And I was working there, so I was lucky that I had the social insurance, and that's how I found out, and I started the treatment. I just moved to Madrid, where I'm studying. So I don't have the treatment I was having in Vienna because Besremi is not approved here. And as I'm a student, I don't have the social insurance, so I need to find a job. Peter is helping way a lot, so I'm super grateful for that. But I was super lucky because I could get the contact. And it's just like so complicated to already like live with the burden of the health and now having to deal with the bureaucracy. And because I'm not European, I don't have access to the social insurance. So it's just a mess. Right now I'm trying to find a way to continue my treatment in Vienna. But yeah, other than that, I just wanted to share like how overwhelming it was at the beginning to try to find a way, because I searched, MPN, and then, it's cancer. And then I have like 100 of different associations and different patient support. And I was just like, it's so much, I just want one thing. And I got diagnosed when I was 24. So all the support that I was super grateful for, but at the beginning I was like, it's 80-year-old people telling me like, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. And I'm like, yeah, well, you already lived your life, but I'm starting it. And I just felt like very lonely. I started like a support group for young people because I felt like it was needed, and organically it grew way more than I expected. My only goal was to find one friend that I could relate to, and now we're 90 people on a WhatsApp group talking daily about burdens and connecting internationally. And I just think we need to find a way to kind of like unify all the strength, like all the efforts that are happening around the world, like try to find a way to standardize it. I know that it's very hard, but I just wanted to share that for me, it was just like so many different sources of information, having no clue which one is the best. And then every situation, every individual has a super complex and different way of living with it. Now, for example, me as a student, and then, but I'm not a European. It's just like such a specific case that it's very hard to find someone that could really give some answers. So I think that was a little bit. And also with the education programs, I think that's super needed now because of the Odd Blood Club that I have been in contact with people from Mexico, from Costa Rica. Costa Rica, there's not even, like they have no clue about MPN. They don't have resources to make all the research needed. There's a girl in Mexico, tomorrow we will hear more about her. But she's going through a lot of hematologists that have no idea like how to deal with her, and it's just so complicated. And now she's hearing opinions from other people in Europe, and it's also complicated for her because it's like, you shouldn't compare, but if she has no other option. So we need more education programs for sure, and hopefully we can unify the efforts. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that was a very important point you also made, because people move, or we have these people who live in, Germany is smack in the middle of Europe, so we have probably people who find it from Belgium more difficult to travel to a site in Belgium than, for example, to a site in Germany. So we also have these little things that we need to take into consideration. And before I'm taking too much time away from somebody who's following up, can I ask all of you a question? Is there, in your country, is there a specific kind of list of doctors you would say are specialists to treat MPN patients, or kind of at least give secondary advice or a second opinion? You made one yourself. Well, the problem is that, well, first of all, I would not like to take the responsibility to say I'm sending somebody to this doctor if I don't know him myself. So that is one thing. The other thing is, and we talked about that to not a very big extent, but it is money that we're also talking about. If you're saying go to this, you're saying don't go to those 10. And they are losing money. So that is a big problem as well. I don't want to focus on the financial situation because that is far too big of a topic. But do you have, you need a microphone.
No issue, but just a small question, because you are also a foundation. I know from the Netherlands, we have there a medical advisory board, and in that board are already certain specialists. And I thought when I was diagnosed, I at least go to one of those. But that's a starting point, of course. But
that's a starting point, but even the doctors don't know. They have the same problem I have. They probably know somebody, but they don't know everybody, right? And especially in these rural areas, when you think about the close to the Polish border, for example, you hardly have any universities, and people don't want to travel. So to whom would you send them? For a first kind of confirmation or a second opinion, I think it is okay to travel to a university center. You can discuss how far that should be away, but then you still need to continue your treatment with somebody who knows. And if there is a complication, the doctor could get into touch with that expert, but even the rural doctor wouldn't know who the expert is. So, but now you wanted to say something.
Well, what I wanted to say is that I used Dolph's website because I had a hematologist, and with every question that I had, she had to discuss with 5 other doctors for every question. It took at least a week to get an answer, and I was very impatient. Still am. But so because of the list, and because my hematologist wanted to send me to a different hospital, and I was like, okay, but that's an hour away, and the other one is like 5 minutes away. And so I now have an MPN specialist, hematologist, and for me, it works perfectly. And I don't see her every time. Most of the time, we do the consults by phone, which is fine. But the website did help me, and I just send an email to her. Do you have place for a new patient? Because you can, in Holland, in the hospitals, you can find the email address of the doctor. So you can just send him an email, and I did. So,
but Dolph, you would then have to kind of keep that list updated. Doctors give up their practices, they move away, new doctors come. So it is a lot of work, right? And you don't always guarantee that you know that somebody has...
That makes it a lot easier. And some well-known doctors and there are some well-known MPN doctors those are on the list, and I'm gonna expand it also with the data from MPN World we gathered, so we can put some other specialists also on that website. I want to say it's impossible for all patients. We have approximately 13,000 MPN patients in Holland. It's impossible to have them all in 5 specialists. So, and MPN is also an illness that can be stable for a couple of years. And it's, I think there should be a kind of expert hospitals that should have some smaller hospital below them, and that should be the way it should be organized. And if people are, you're right. If people, I think money is involved also. If people with an MPN move to a bigger hospital, they definitely stay also in that hospital for other illnesses they probably can get.
Yeah, I have one suggestion, and that is, we have been discussing this for more than 3 years now, with the Medical Advisory Board, with other, there is a European program where you can get certifications for hospitals for MPN, but this program doesn't work. There is a lot of requirements that you need to fulfill to become such an expert center. One of those requirements is you have to be in close connection with PAGs, and many of those got the certification without any consultation of PAGs. So this program is not working. Then we are starting to have discussions about certification, and we all know this is never going to work, because defining the certification, maintaining the certification is laborious, it's complicated, it will die, it will not function. So you need something else. So we came up with the idea to do some kind of provocation. We are going to create a list, and on those lists are the doctors of which we know they have at least 50 patients. Because it's a complicated disease, you have to be experienced to be, at least have experience is the minimum level of certification, and it's objective. And so what we can present is not the list of best doctors. What we can present is a list of doctors with the most patients. And I think that if we provoke it on this way, there will be pushback. But then we can say, come with an alternative. So this is the way we are going to do this. And that's why we have the journal, exactly.
Okay, no pressure on that for the doctors. The one thing I was just going to say is, obviously, I think there's big difference between your countries, the UK, Spain, because unfortunately in Spain, I mean, the case that you have explained is a nightmare, because, you know, you can't pick and choose, unfortunately. I don't know if for good or for bad, but that's a difficult, it's kind of beyond us, if that makes sense. Because I'm sure most of us will be like, well, I just want to see my patients. You know, that's our interest. That's what we develop in our interest. But it is a really tricky, and I appreciate all sides, but it's a big battle. And in a way, I'm not going to say how many years I've been working in hematology, but I can see there is a difference that we are going through more sub-specialized clinics. It just takes time, and takes time from the governments, and, you know, I mean, it's not going to politics, but, you know, it takes time, but it's a way to go, because for us, as a doctors, it's really difficult to be up to date in every single disease. I mean, I can talk with my myeloma colleagues and be like, oh yeah, what is news in your area? I was like, well, you know, we moved from hydroxy. And they're like, really? I was like, yes, we did. Thank you. You know, they don't know, but I don't know their things. So that's what we are going through. It takes time, but, you know, things like this, starting open the questions is the only way you can move forward, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay. Microphone comes from behind.
In Belgium, we have an association, the Belgian Hematology Association. It's about all blood diseases, but there are subgroups. And in one, MPN is one of the subgroups with some hematologists, and that's for us the list of MPN specialists.
Okay, can we look at that? Because that was a problem in Germany, because exactly this financial aspect is the problem. If you know, we're saying go to those, we're saying don't go to those, right? So I'll take a look at the website if you show me where I find it, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I just want to add on this. In our hospital, we're all in the same hospital. If you make a call to make an appointment and you tell them, I have an MPN, they direct you to one doctor and one doctor only. So there is no financial issue. The other doctors are committed to other diseases. Our doctor is committed to MPN.
But you're going to the hospital, so the doctor next door who has his little surgery there will probably not see you. So that was the concern that obviously in Germany was. But let's look at the thing. That is interesting. Maybe we can go that way. Any more questions, or should we hear something about immune system now? I think that was the next topic, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's okay, it's okay.
You want that one?